So a few weeks ago, even though Canada planned to ban exporting many single-use plastics that are banned here at home, that export ban was reversed after a government review, meaning producers can continue exporting. So what does this mean? Well, on the one hand, when Canada exports banned plastics, we're not truly solving pollution or harm. But on the other hand, we have a massive opportunity because now we have data to trace these patterns and change them. That's why our research matters. So for the first time, we conducted a comprehensive quantitative global assessment on the human right to a healthy environment, and what we found is clarifying. Nearly half of the world's population lives in places where at least 3 out of 5 core environmental conditions are currently being threatened. And to get these numbers, we constructed a cumulative threat index across 5 critical dimensions, right? Clean air, safe water, safe climate, healthy food, and biodiversity. And we mapped them onto a high-resolution global grid. And these allowed us to identify massive polycrisis hotspots around the world. The distribution of these threats is not random. In South and East Asia, environmental burdens far exceed what population density alone would predict, right? For example, South Asia holds just over 20% of the world's population, but it accounts for 41% of all people facing the maximum severity of threats. And within countries, the divide is just as stark. Indigenous populations and persons of concern, including refugees, are statistically concentrated in the worst-case environmental zones, facing far higher exposure to toxic air and extreme heat. Now, you might look at these hotspots and treat them as local problems, but that's not what scientific literature tells us, really. Instead, we found clear scientific consensus that across all 5 dimensions, environmental burdens in the global south are often driven by demand in wealthy nations. So in other words, the global north's clean environmental indicators are often subsidized by the red hotspots in the global south. So Canada's current export practices are a clear example of this unequal exchange, and our research shows that we can trace responsibility and the scale of the problem. So right now, Canada is in the process of developing its first ever national strategy on environmental justice. This is the Bill C-226. And this is an opportunity to start designing solutions that match that scale. This national strategy gives Canada a chance to lead in a way, because if we look honestly at how our trade laws and export practices affect communities abroad and hold them to the same standards we expect here, we can stop shifting harm and start solving the problem.